Hey guys, Steve here from Mexican Beast Barbecue, and I'm with my good friend.
We got James from Greenleaf Barbecue, and today we got some ribs going down on the Traegers.
Yeah, we just thought we'd do a collaborative video about how we each do ribs our own way. There's no right, there's no wrong, it's just different. And I'm sure many of you watching have your style, your way of doing ribs, but we just thought we'd put a video together just to share with you how we do it for our friends and our family here at the house.
Absolutely.
What kind of ribs are we doing?
So today we got 6 St. Louis style ribs going down. I'm gonna get 3, Steve's gonna do it 3. We have totally different rubs, totally different styles, totally different everything. And yeah, I'm just ready to have a good time.
Yeah, we're gonna fire up the Traegers here and get smoke rolling here pretty soon, but hopefully we can just share and answer, you know, do we use paper? Do we use foil? Do you sauce? Do you eat them dry? What kind of rubs do you like? You like a sweet rub, a savory rub? Well, we're gonna use all different types, all different brands, all different companies to show you how we do it and how they come out. We're gonna have some friends show up later on to enjoy this amazing food together.
Yeah.
Well, without any further ado, let's get started.
So what is up, everyone? I love to clean my ribs. So what I'm doing here, I'm taking that bulky fat on most of these St. Louis ribs just because I don't like a bulky fat on the meat side. So I try to take it down as much as I can so I'm not affecting the meat. What I also like to do is I like to trim off the rib tips so I can kind of square them up competition style. Just gives it a better presentation look. What I like to also do is when the meat's a little bit cold is when I like to take that membrane off. So what I like to do is obviously after the trimming, after the squaring, I like to get a paper towel. You can use any paper towel or even your hands. Go at the end, use a butter knife and pull that membrane off just a little bit so I can get a hold of it with that paper towel. Now is the rub process. So what I'm using here is I'm using Traeger's Saskatchewan as the base and Traeger's Coffee Rub as the top. Consistency is key, so I like to do the base and the top the same on all my ribs. As you can see, I'm using the excess to just take it off the top and then use it as a side binder so I can make sure I get those sides and hit them. Here I'm using Meat Church's Honey Hog and Honey Bacon Barbecue. Like I said, the bacon barbecue on the bottom and the honey hog on top on both sides. As you guys can see on that those blue tabs, those are actually grill pins. So I'm marking each rib to make sure I know which rib is which. So when we get into the cooker, there's no confusion on which rib, right? Also, as you guys can see the board, every time I'm done using one of those, I wipe it off so there's no cross-contamination, so I don't have a different consistency at the end or result. So when our family comes, they know exactly what I'm using. Right here, I'm using Nielsen Wrap AP Rub, super great rub, and I'm just gonna use that just by itself because it has a really good flavor.
All right, time for me to prep my ribs. The first thing I want to do is remove that membrane off the back. I do not want to skip this step because if I do, it is a tough chew. Also want to go ahead and feel around for any loose skin, loose fat, trim those pieces off. Also want to remove the ends just in case there's sharp bone there or it's just inconsistent. Nothing crazy, nothing out of control. This is not competition. This is just some good old backyard eating, but I want it to look nice. My next step is I do use a binder, and today we're using yellow mustard. Doesn't change the flavor, doesn't do anything but 2 things. 1, helps the rub stick a lot better, and number 2, it helps me identify that I've actually put enough rub on the meat. So I just get on this and cover it completely with the yellow mustard. Now we're gonna season with Nielsen Wrap's Hot Damn Rub. So we're gonna go and we're gonna season liberally. We're gonna completely coat these ribs. All meat should be covered with the rub. I won't emphasize that enough. Get every piece of meat covered with your rub. My next rack, I'm seasoning with Traeger's Big Game Rub. I love the color, I love the taste of this rub. It is one of my favorites. Remember, we are seasoning liberally, making sure that yellow mustard is completely covered and not showing through. And on my final rack, I'm using Dakine Smoky Seasoning. This is the first time I'm using this rub, but I will tell you what, I fell in love with it too. All right, once we get them all seasoned up, they're gonna head to the Traeger for a nice smoke bath at 250 degrees, and we're gonna let it ride for 3 hours.
3 hours have consumed, now it is time to wrap. So what I like to do, like I said before, consistency is key to me. So I like to put down 3 slabs of butter, some honey, some brown sugar, and I like to put a little bit of rub on top. And I also take the rib and make it meat side down and do the same thing on the top. Now what I did right there, as you guys can see, I turned it sideways. I'd like to double rack with Traeger butcher paper. I'm a butcher paper kind of guy, so that's how I'm gonna stay. So just like the other one, consistency is key, right? So we're using that honey hog, the brown sugar, the honey, the butter, everything is gonna be so sweet and so delicious at the end. Like I said, just hit it with that rub. And I like to spin it. The reason why I spin is because you get that consistency cook. Once these go back on the Traeger, I'm gonna bump it up to 275, let it roll 2 more hours. But what I do, I like to pull mine at 200, get it rested for that glaze, the rub, the sauce, everything that I'm gonna use at the end to finish those off to make them the best ribs you will ever taste. And like I said, 275 for another 2 hours, pull, and then bring those back up to temperature, and it's ready to eat.
All right, we hit the 3-hour mark. We got the color that we like. Now is our second stage for ribs. This is where we tenderize the rib. So I like to use foil to wrap. I always use a base of butter, brown sugar, and honey. Putting your brown sugar, your butter, and your honey on top and bottom. And remember, meat side down. Also, put a little of that rub back in the package. It's all gonna be good. It's all gonna break down and create a beautiful juice that this meat is gonna bathe in and get nice and tender. Now you notice I double wrap the ribs because I do not want to puncture. I don't want to create a hole where all those juices flow out. So I always double wrap just to ensure that the ribs are nice and safe in a nice foil blanket. Now I'm getting ready to throw them back on the Traeger. I keep rolling at 250 degrees because the ribs will cook faster in foil. At this point, I'm tenderizing, looking for an internal temp of 200 degrees. All right, we are on stage 3, the final step of our rib cook. And this is where we hit our internal temperature of 200 degrees. Wow, look at the juices in this foil. Look at the fat rendered off. Look at the color on these ribs. Look at the beautiful bone pool. We got a couple of shiners, but you know what? We're not in competition. But this is the stage where we're gonna add another layer of flavor. This is where we're gonna put a sauce. I'm not a heavy sauce guy, so I like light glaze. The first one is Sweet Heat by Traeger. It is absolutely delicious. The second rack, I use Cosmo Q's rib glaze, which is absolutely thin and sweet and light. It is delicious.
So for my ribs, the 2 hours is up. Look at those juices flowing. It is time to get these babies off the Traeger. It already hit the 200 like I desired, and now it's ready to bring that temperature down just a little bit to put that glaze, whatever kind of sauce or rub that you're gonna use to finish those babies off. As you can see, I double layer because there's so much juice in there, but I like to actually use that juice for some color, some moisture, just to help that presentation pop, right? I like to use a wire rack, put that baby on there, and then we're gonna hit it with some sauce. This first rack is gonna be the Neil AP rib, so we're not hitting any sauce. The second rack is gonna be that meat church, right? We're gonna use that Cosmo Q apple cherry habanero glaze. Put just a light coat. I'm not a big heavy coater, so I like to put a light coat, use a little basting brush and get that baby even throughout the whole rib so it has a beautiful presentation. I also like to use both of the rubs to finish that off with a nice light dusting at the top, right? This is the last rib. This is the Traeger Saskatchewan. We're using that Sugar Lips by Traeger, and it is so amazing, y'all. Just a nice little coat of both the sauce and that nice coat of rub. Now it's time to hit the Traeger for the finish.
There you have it, 6 beautiful, amazing, mouth-watering racks of ribs done completely different. Look at the color on them. The flavor was amazing, so tender. You can cut through it like butter. All right, guys, well, what an amazing Cinco de Mayo. Yeah. Our rib cookout was absolutely phenomenal. We hope that you learned something amazing, and we just want to thank a couple of people that made this video possible.
Yeah, I want to thank Steve for letting me come over to his house during this pandemic. I know it's kind of crazy, but opening his home, having a good collab during this crazy time, and especially on Cinco de Mayo. And also, we want to thank Bear Mountain Barbecue for hooking us up with some swag, a whole bunch of pellets to get these smokers going. And we just want to say thank you guys. And if you haven't tried their stuff, I'm telling you, you're missing out. It's amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've seen all the rubs that we used, Neil Serap, Meat Church, Traeger, Cosmo Q glaze, all the stuff. Support those guys, go get, it's delicious. It's absolutely amazing. Look at the ribs, they came out absolutely phenomenal.
Man. I'm ready to dig in.
Let's dig in, let's grab one of these bad boys. Look at that, cheers, man. Still hot and juicy. Man. Thanks again, guys. We hope you learned something. We hope that you're able to maybe find something that we do differently or can add to your ribs, but these are absolutely amazing. We're gonna dig in and eat with our family. Hey, stay safe. We love you guys. See you in the next video.
Thank you.